Ambassador Tae-ho Kim looked at his reflection in the mirror. His gray diplomatic uniform fit perfectly. The small earth patch on his shoulder showed his home planet. Today was important. Humans would meet the Galactic Council for the first time. "Are you ready, Ambassador?" asked Chief Security Officer June Park from the doorway. "As ready as I'll ever be," Tae-ho replied with a small smile. "Is your team prepared for the Council's rules?" June nodded. "Yes, sir. We understand we must enter without weapons. My team has been fully briefed." Tae-ho turned to face his security chief. June was a strong man with calm eyes. He had once been part of Earth's special forces before joining the diplomatic security team. All 6 members of the security team had similar backgrounds. "The aliens will think we're strange," Tae-ho said. "All other species bring armed guards to the edge of Council space. Only there do they give up their weapons." "Let them think what they want," June replied. "We'll do our job either way." The transport ship Harmony approached the massive Galactic Council station. Through the windows, Tae-ho could see the giant metal structure. It looked like a huge wheel spinning slowly in space. Ships from dozens of alien worlds moved around it. The human delegation gathered in the ship's meeting room for final instructions. Besides Tae-ho and the security team, there were 3 other diplomats and 2 language experts. "Remember," Tae-ho told everyone, "we are guests here. Earth is new to the galactic community. Many species don't believe we belong yet. Our actions today will shape how they see humans for years to come." He turned to June and his security team. "And you 6 have the hardest job. You must protect us without showing any weapons at all, not even at the checkpoints." Min Lee, the only woman on the security team, spoke up. "Why did Earth agree to this rule, Ambassador? Other species bring weapons to the edge of Council space." Tae-ho smiled. "Because, Officer Lee, we want to show we are different. We come in true peace. And also," added June with a small grin, "because we don't need weapons to be effective." The security team nodded in understanding. They had been chosen for this mission because they were the best. Each could turn everyday objects into tools of defense. Each knew dozens of ways to stop an attack using only their hands. The ship's captain announced they were docking. The moment had come. The Harmony connected to the station with a soft bump. The airlock door opened slowly. Beyond it waited a group of aliens. "Welcome to the Galactic Council Station," said a tall blue alien with 4 arms. "I am Greeter Ziv of the Protocol Office. We will escort you to the Council chamber." Tae-ho stepped forward and bowed slightly. "Thank you, Greeter Ziv. I am Ambassador Kim of Earth. We are honored to be invited." The alien's large eyes blinked twice. "Before we proceed, your security personnel must surrender all weapons at this checkpoint." June stepped forward. "We carry no weapons, Greeter Ziv. Earth's diplomatic security follows a strict no-weapons policy." All 4 of Ziv's arms moved in. What seemed to be surprise. "No weapons at all? Not even ceremonial ones?" "None," confirmed June. The alien security officers at the checkpoint looked confused. One of them, a reptilian being with green scales, approached the human security team. "You must be scanned," the reptilian said. "Of course," June replied calmly. The alien security used various devices to scan the humans. They found nothing. The reptilian security chief looked both confused and amused. "The humans send their diplomats with guards who cannot protect them," he said to his team in his own language, not knowing the human language experts could understand him. The human delegation followed Greeter Ziv through long hallways. The station was huge inside. Aliens of many shapes and sizes moved around them. Some had extra limbs, others floated instead of walking. Many stopped to stare at the humans. They passed other diplomatic teams heading to the council chamber. Each had armed guards who carried impressive weapons. These guards would surrender their weapons at the final checkpoint before entering the chamber. The Vralken delegation walked nearby. The Vralkens were tall reptilians with shiny scales. Their ambassador, a massive being with a ridge of spikes along his head, noticed the humans. "So these are the new primitives," the Vralken ambassador said loudly to his aide. "They send their diplomats with defenseless guards, Perhaps they don't understand how dangerous the galaxy is. Tejo pretended not to hear. His language experts had understood every word, but this was not the time to respond to insults. They arrived at the final security checkpoint. Other species guards were handing over large energy weapons and ceremonial blades. The station security officers looked confused when the human security team passed through without surrendering anything. Nothing to declare, June said simply. The main council chamber was enormous. A high ceiling arched above rows of seats arranged in a circle. In the center was a speaking platform. Hundreds of different alien species filled the seats, their voices creating a steady hum of noise. Greeter Ziv led them to a small section marked with the Earth symbol. These are your designated seats. The council session begins in 20 minutes. Do not leave this area without an escort. After Ziv left, Tejo turned to his team. Well, we made it. First impressions? Hansol, one of the security officers, spoke quietly. I've counted 14 different species with natural weapons built into their bodies. Claws, fangs, stingers. Even if their guards surrender weapons, the diplomats themselves remain armed. Good observation, said June. What else? The Vralkans keep watching us, said Jiho, another security officer. Their guards seem particularly interested in the fact that we're unarmed. Minli added. The station security is good, but not perfect. I've noticed 3 blind spots in the camera coverage just in this room. Tejo nodded. His security team wasn't just looking at the obvious. They were mapping every detail, planning for all possibilities. Ambassador, Youngmi, one of the diplomats, said softly. Many delegates are staring at us. I think our lack of armed guards has made us stand out. Good, replied Tejo. Let them stare. Let them wonder. The Vralkan ambassador approached their section. His guards followed close behind, their hands resting on the ceremonial weapons they would soon surrender. Earth ambassador, the Vralkan said, his voice deep and rumbling. I am Ambassador Kroth of the Vralkan Empire. I must say, your security arrangements are unusual. Tejo stood and bowed politely. Ambassador Kroth, thank you for the welcome. As for our security, we believe true strength comes in many forms. Kroth's eyes narrowed. Pretty words, but words won't help if danger comes. The galaxy is not the safe, peaceful place you humans might imagine. June stood slightly straighter, but remained silent. His eyes never left the Vralkan guards. We're well aware of the galaxy's dangers, Tejo replied calmly. We simply have different approaches to handling them. Kroth made a sound that might have been laughter. We shall see, human. We shall see. As the Vralkan delegation moved away, Minli whispered, he was testing us, seeing if we would show fear. And judging our capabilities, added June. They all are. Every species here is trying to figure out how dangerous we might be. Tejo smiled slightly. Little do they know. A loud tone sounded throughout the chamber. The council session was about to begin. As the Earth delegation took their seats, Tejo felt the weight of the moment. Humanity's first steps into the galactic community had begun. What none of the aliens realized was that the unarmed human guards were the most dangerous beings in the room. Not despite their lack of weapons, but because of it. They had learned to turn anything into a weapon. They had trained their bodies to be weapons. And most importantly, they had trained their minds to see possibilities where others saw nothing. The HFY humans had come in peace, but they were ready for anything else. 3 weeks passed since Earth joined the Galactic Council. The human delegation learned quickly. They attended many meetings and talked with other species. Most aliens still thought the unarmed human guards were strange, but they stopped making jokes about it. Today was an important meeting. The council would discuss who could use resources in the Orion Spur, a part of space near Earth. Ambassador Tejo Kim sat with his team in their assigned section. The large council chamber was full. This meeting will be tense, Tejo told his team quietly. Many powerful groups want those resources. June Park nodded. His eyes never stopped moving, watching everything in the room. My team is ready, Ambassador. The council leader, a tall being with purple skin, called the meeting to order. Today we discuss resource rights in the Orion Spur. Each delegation will have time to speak. The meeting began. One by one, different species stood at the center, platformed to give their views. Some spoke loudly, others quietly. Some wanted to share the resources, while others claimed they owned everything. When the Vralkan ambassador Kroth spoke, he pointed at the human section. These newcomers should not get any rights to the Orion Spur. They are too primitive to use these resources properly. Tejo made notes but showed no anger. He would speak later and give Earth's position calmly. The meeting went on for 2 hours. Then suddenly, something strange happened. All the lights went out. The council chamber was completely dark. People started to shout in fear. 6 seconds later, the emergency lights came on. They gave a dim red glow to the room. In the center of the council chamber stood 6 armed figures. They wore black body armor and masks that hid their faces. Each held a powerful energy weapon. "Nobody move," shouted their leader. "The council is now under our control." Panic spread through the chamber. Some diplomats tried to run for the exits, but the armed intruders fired warning shots that hit just above the doors. "I said don't move," the leader shouted again. "The exits are blocked. The security systems are down. No one is coming to help you." The council leader stood up. "Who are you? What do you want?" "We are the Draxian Truth Front," replied the leader. "For too long the council has ignored our demands. Today you will listen." June looked at his security team. They exchanged small nods and tiny hand signals that only they understood. They were getting ready. In the dim red light, no one noticed the human security team spreading out slightly. Min Li moved her hand slowly to her pocket where she kept a simple pen. Han Sol's fingers touched the heavy meeting agenda tablet on the table. Young Mi slipped off her formal diplomatic scarf and held it loosely in her hands. The leader of the armed group pointed at the council leader. "Your corrupt decisions end today. We will stay here until our demands are met. If anyone tries to be a hero, people will die." The guards of other delegations stood helpless. They had given up their weapons at the checkpoint. Now they had nothing to fight with. One of the armed intruders noticed the human section. He walked over, his weapon pointed at Tejo. "You, humans, you're new here." His voice was cold through his mask. "Your kind is not welcome in this council." Tejo looked at the intruder calmly. "We have as much right to be here as anyone." "Rights?" The intruder laughed. "Rights come from power. Let me show you." He raised his weapon and aimed it directly at Tejo's head. "Maybe we should start with you as an example. Show everyone what happens to those who don't respect our demands." The room went very quiet. Everyone was watching. The other intruders were spread around the room, watching other sections of diplomats. June Park stood very slowly, his hands raised. "There's no need for violence." The intruder turned his weapon toward June. "Sit down. Your guards don't even carry weapons. What do you think you can do?" "I suggest you reconsider your actions," Tejo said calmly. "There are better ways to solve problems." "There is no talking now," the intruder said. "Only action." What happened next was so fast that most people in the room missed parts of it. The Yao intruder started to aim his weapon back at Tejo. June moved his hand in a small signal. All at once, the human security team acted. Min Li threw her pen with perfect aim. It hit the intruder's hand at a pressure point, making him drop his weapon. At the same moment, June moved forward and struck the intruder's neck with the side of his hand. The intruder fell to the ground, unable to move. The other intruders saw this and started to turn their weapons toward the human section. But the human security team was already moving. Han Sol threw the heavy meeting agenda tablet like a disc. It hit one intruder in the center of his mask, cracking it. Jiho had somehow gotten hold of a serving tray from a nearby refreshment table and used it as a shield, blocking energy shots while moving toward another intruder. Young Mai used her scarf like a whip, wrapping it around an intruder's weapon and pulling it from his hands. She then spun and kicked him in the chest, sending him flying backward. 2 intruders tried to shoot at the humans, but June and Min were moving too fast, using the council chamber's seats as cover. They picked up items as they moved. A water cup, a decorative pin, a writing stylus, and turned each into a weapon. The leader of the intruders shouted, "Kill them!" But it was too late. Jiho reached one intruder and used the serving tray's edge to strike at the weak point in the intruder's armor, right at the joint of the arm. The intruder screamed in pain and dropped his weapon. Hansol had taken a power cord from a nearby translator device. He used it like a rope, tangling another intruder's legs and pulling him to the ground. The leader tried to aim at Taeho again, but Jun was there. He had picked up a ceremonial glass sphere from a display. With perfect aim, he threw it at the leader's weapon. The sphere shattered on impact and the weapon sparked and died, its firing mechanism damaged. 20 seconds. That was all it took. All 6 armed intruders were on the ground. Some were unconscious. Others were trapped. None were still armed. The human security team quickly collected the intruders' weapons and checked that they were secure. They formed a protective circle around the Earth delegation. The council chamber was completely silent. Every alien diplomat and guard stared at the humans in shock. The Vralken ambassador Kroth's mouth hung open. "Impossible," he whispered. The council leader stood up shakily. What just happened?" Jun handed one of the captured weapons to a council security officer who had just arrived. "The situation is under control," he said simply. Taeho straightened. His uniform, which hadn't even become wrinkled during the attack. He looked at the council leader. "Perhaps we should take a short break before continuing the meeting?" The council leader could only nod, still in shock. As council security officers rushed in to take away the intruders, ambassadors from many worlds stared at the human delegation with new eyes. The unarmed guards they had mocked had just taken down 6 armed attackers using only everyday items. The humans had not just protected themselves, they had saved the entire council, and they had done it without any weapons at all. The main council chamber was closed after the attack. Council security teams searched the entire station for more Draxian extremists. The diplomats were moved to a safe room to wait. In this room, ambassadors from many worlds kept looking at the human delegation. Some with fear, others with interest. The human security team stood calmly around Ambassador Taeho Kim, as if nothing unusual had happened. 20 seconds, whispered an ambassador with blue skin and 4 eyes. They took down 6 armed attackers in 20 seconds. The word spread around the room. 20 seconds, only 20 seconds. Ambassador Kroth of the Vralkens pushed through the crowd toward the humans. His guards followed closely behind him. He stopped in front of Taeho and looked down at the human ambassador. "You knew this would happen," Kroth said. His voice was not angry now, but curious. Taeho shook his head. "No, Ambassador. We did not know about the attack." "But you were ready for it," Kroth insisted. "Your guards moved too well, too quickly. This was planned." June Park stepped forward. "We are always ready, Ambassador Kroth. That is our job." Small crowd had gathered around them now. Ambassadors from many worlds wanted to hear this conversation. "How did you do it?" asked a short ambassador with green fur. "Your guards had no weapons." Taeho smiled slightly. "They had everything they needed." "I don't understand," said the green ambassador. Min Lee spoke up. "May I explain, Ambassador?" "Kim." Taeho nodded. Min looked at the group of aliens. "On Earth we have a saying, the most dangerous weapon is the mind. We are trained to see weapons everywhere." She held up her simple pen. "This can strike pressure points or blind an attacker." She touched her belt. "This can trap or strangle." She pointed to a chair. "That can block or hit." The aliens looked confused. A tall, thin ambassador with 6 arms spoke. "But specialized weapons are always better than items." "Not always," said June. "Specialized weapons can be taken away. They can be banned, like they are in the council chamber, but no one can take away our training or our minds." The council's head of security entered the room. He was a large being with rocky skin. He walked straight to the human delegation. "Ambassador Kim," he said formally, "I am Security Chief Drone. I need to speak with your security team about what happened." Taeho nodded. "Of course. My team will help in any way they can." Security Chief Drone led June and his team to a corner of the room. They sat at a table while other security officers set up recording devices. "Please explain exactly what happened," Drone said. June looked at his team, then back at Drone. "When the lights went out, we got ready. This is standard procedure for us. When the emergency lights came on and we saw the armed intruders, we waited to see what they wanted. But when one threatened Ambassador Kim directly, we had to act," added Min. "How did you coordinate your attack?" asked Drone. "I saw no signals between you." The human security team looked at each other. Jiho spoke up. "We use small signals, a finger movement, a certain way of standing, things most people don't notice." "And you plan for these situations?" Drone asked. "Always," said June. "From the moment we entered the council chamber 3 weeks ago, we have been making plans, where to move, what to use as weapons, how to protect the diplomats." Drone looked surprised. "Every day for 3 weeks?" "Every minute of every day," corrected Hansol. "It is how we think." Meanwhile, in another part of the room, Taiho was surrounded by curious ambassadors. "Why did Earth decide to send unarmed guards?" asked a small ambassador who floated in a bubble of liquid. "It was a sign of respect," Taiho explained. "We wanted to show that we honored the Council's peaceful purpose. But we also could not leave our diplomats unprotected." "So you found a way to follow both needs," said Ambassador Croth, who was still listening. "Clever." "We also wanted to show something about humans," added Taiho. "We wanted to show that humans can adapt to any situation." A new ambassador joined the group. This one had long tentacles and a wide, flat head. "Your guard saved many lives today. The Draxian extremists would have killed hostages to get what they wanted." "We are glad we could help," said Taiho simply. Back at the security table, Drone was reviewing video of the incident. "It happened so fast," he said, watching the recording for the 3rd time. "Your Officer Lee disabled the first attacker with just a pen." Min nodded. "The pen hit a nerve cluster at the wrist. It caused temporary paralysis." "And you," Drone said to Jiho. "You used a serving tray both as a shield and a weapon." "The tray was made of strong material," explained Jiho. "I noticed it earlier when drinks were served." Drone turned to Young Mi. "Your use of a simple scarf was unexpected." Young Mi smiled. "Flexible items can catch, pull, or trap. The scarf was light but strong." Drone turned off the recording and looked at all of them. "I have been head of security for 12 years. I have never seen anything like what you did today." "Is that good or bad?" asked June. "Good for the council," said Drone. "Maybe bad for those who thought they understood human capabilities." The main doors opened, and the council leader entered the room. Everyone went quiet. "The station is secure," announced the council leader. "The Draxian extremists have been caught and are being questioned. We have learned they had inside help to bypass our security systems." The room filled with worried whispers. Inside help meant someone on the station had helped the attackers. "For now," continued the council leader, "all diplomatic meetings are suspended. All delegations will return to their quarters until we complete our investigation." As the diplomats prepared to leave, the council leader approached the human delegation. "Ambassador Kim," she said, "the council wishes to thank your security team. Without their quick action, we would still be hostages or worse." Taiho bowed slightly. "We are honored to help, council leader. I would like to speak with you tomorrow about your security protocols," she added. "There may be much we can learn from Earth's methods." As the human delegation walked back to their quarters, they noticed how other species moved aside to let them pass. The looks were no longer mocking or confused. Now, there was respect, and perhaps a little fear. "They look at us differently now," said Min quietly to June. "Yes," replied June. "Now they are beginning to understand." "Understand what?" asked Min. June watched, as an armed guard from another delegation pressed himself against the wall to give them more space. "That humans don't need weapons to be dangerous," said June. "We just need to be human." Senior Council Security Administrator Thalos Vreen sat in his office. 4 large screens showed different views of the attack. He watched the recordings for the 12th time. Thalos had 4 eyes, 2 in front and 2 on the sides of his head. All 4 eyes blinked in surprise as he watched the human security team move with perfect coordination. "Impossible," he muttered. "Their efficiency rating exceeds our elite response teams by 47%. The door opened. Kiri-Su Bayek entered the room. She was the human security liaison, sent by Earth to help with the investigation. "You wanted to see me, Administrator Vreen?" she asked. Thalos pointed to a chair. "Please sit, I have many questions." Kiri-Su sat down. She was calm and professional, dressed in the same gray uniform as the other human security officers. Thalos pointed to the screens. "I have analyzed the incident from every angle. Your team's response was extraordinary." "Thank you," said Kiri-Su simply. "But I need to understand how," said Thalos. "Even without weapons, they moved with such purpose, such lethality." Kiri-Su thought carefully before answering. "Administrator, on Earth, we have many different types of dangerous situations. Our security forces must be ready for all of them." "But how do you train for this?" Thalos asked. "The attackers had energy weapons, your team had nothing." "That's not true," said Kiri-Su. "They had their training, they had everyday objects, and most importantly, they had their minds." Thalos leaned forward. "You mean they improvised?" "Yes and no," replied Kiri-Su. "We trained to use anything as a tool. A pen, a tray, a scarf. These are all potential weapons in the right hands." She reached out and picked up a simple stylus from Thalos's desk. "This could be used to strike at pressure points." She put it down and picked up a data pad. "This has enough weight to stun someone if thrown correctly." Thalos's 4 eyes all widened. "You see the world very differently than we do." "It's how we survive," said Kiri-Su. Thalos turned back to the screens. "But why refuse weapons altogether when council regulations would have allowed you to carry them to the checkpoint?" Kiri-Su smiled slightly. "Ambassador Kim believed it. Would send the wrong message. Humans wanted to demonstrate our commitment to peaceful relations by demonstrating your capacity for violence using only what was at hand." Thalos's tone contained a mixture of horror and admiration. "By demonstrating adaptability," Kiri-Su corrected. "Humans don't need specialized tools to be effective. We wanted the council to understand that from the beginning." In another part of the station, Ambassador Tae-ho Kim was meeting with the council leader. They sat in a small private meeting room. "Your security team has caused quite a stir, Ambassador Kim," said the council leader. "I hope not in a negative way," replied Tae-ho. The council leader shook her head. "Not at all. In fact, many council members are impressed. Some are even suggesting changes to our security protocols based on your example." "What kind of changes?" asked Tae-ho. "Some believe we should train our own security forces in your methods," explained the council leader. "Others think we should ban all weapons on the entire station, not just in the council chamber." Tae-ho nodded. "Both are interesting ideas. But I have concerns," continued the council leader. "Your methods seem uniquely human. Can other species learn to think this way?" Tae-ho considered the question. "Some aspects of our training could be taught to anyone. Basic techniques for using everyday objects, for example. But the mindset, always looking for tools, always planning, that may be harder to teach." Back in the security office, Thalos was showing Kiri-Su the results of his analysis. "Your Officer Park disabled 2 attackers in less than 5 seconds, he said, pointing to the screen. Officer Lee took down another with just a pen and a cup, and Officer Hansol used a power cord to trap the 4th attacker. "Yes," said Kiri-Su. "They used what was available." "And they had practiced these moves before?" asked Thalos. "Not these exact moves," replied Kiri-Su. "But similar ones, yes. We train in thousands of scenarios. We learn principles, not just specific techniques." Thalos turned off the screens and faced Kiri-Su directly. "There is something else I need to discuss with you. Something important." Kirisu waited patiently. "We have discovered how the attackers got onto the station," said Thalos. "They had help from inside." "Someone betrayed the council?" asked Kirisu. Thalos nodded. "A minor official from the Keldrian delegation. He was paid to disable certain security systems and provide access codes." "Have you arrested him?" asked Kirisu. "Yes, but there's more," said Thalos. "The Draxian extremists were not targeting the council in general. They had a specific goal." "What was it?" asked Kirisu. Thalos's voice grew serious. "They were hired to kill the human delegation." Kirisu's calm expression didn't change, but her eyes narrowed slightly. "Who hired them?" "We don't know yet," admitted Thalos, "but we are investigating several possibilities." Meanwhile, Ambassador Kroth of the Vralkans was meeting with his advisors in their private quarters. "The humans are more dangerous than we thought," said Kroth. "Their unarmed guards defeated 6 armed attackers in seconds. Should we be concerned?" asked one advisor. Kroth walked to the window and looked out at the stars. "Yes and no. We should respect their abilities, but this also presents an opportunity." "What kind of opportunity?" asked another advisor. "An alliance," said Kroth. "The Vralkan Empire has always valued strength. These humans have shown they are strong in unexpected ways." "But you have spoken against them in the council," reminded the first advisor. Kroth turned from the window. "That was before I understood them. Now I see they may be valuable allies, or dangerous enemies. I prefer the first option." Back in his office, Thalos was finishing his meeting with Kirisu. "We will increase security around your delegation's quarters," he said. "Until we know who was behind the attack, we must assume the threat remains." "Thank you, Administrator," said Kirisu. "But my team is always alert, always ready." "I believe that now," said Thalos. "One more question, if I may." Kirisu nodded. "The attacker who threatened Ambassador Kim," said Thalos. "Officer Park could have killed him easily. Why didn't he?" "Because that wasn't the goal," explained Kirisu. "The goal was to protect, not to kill. We use only the force needed to stop the threat." Thalos walked her to the door. "Your people are full of surprises, Security Liaison Beck." "We try to be," she replied with a small smile. That evening, as Ambassador Kim and his team gathered in their quarters, June Park reported what he had learned. "The attack was aimed specifically at us," said June. "Someone wanted the human delegation eliminated." Taeho wasn't surprised. "We knew there would be resistance to Earth joining the Council. This confirms it. But it also confirms something else," said Min Lee. "It confirms that we were right to come prepared." Taeho looked around at his security team. "The Council is watching us closely now. How we respond to this attack will shape their view of humanity." "What do you want us to do, Ambassador?" asked June. "Keep doing exactly what you're doing," replied Taeho. "Stay alert, stay ready, but also show them that humans seek peace even when attacked." "And if we discover who was behind the attack?" asked Jiho. Taeho's expression grew serious. "Then we will respond firmly but fairly. That too is the human way." Outside in the corridor, 2 council security officers stood guard at the human's door. One turned to the other. "Have you heard?" he whispered. "Security Chief Drone is recommending we adopt some of the human training methods." "Really?" asked the second guard. "Do you think it will help?" The first guard looked at the closed door. "I hope so. Because after what I saw in that council chamber, I never want to face an angry human, armed or unarmed." 1 week after the attack, the council called for a special meeting. All delegations received notice to attend. The message said it was very important. Ambassador Taeho Kim and his team prepared carefully. They didn't know what to expect. "Do you think they found who was behind the attack?" asked Young Mi as they walked to the meeting. "Perhaps," said Taeho. "But this meeting is about more than that." The message mentioned new security protocols. When they arrived at the meeting chamber, they noticed it was different. This was the Grand Chamber, larger than the regular council room. It was used only for the most important events. As they took their seats, Taeho noticed Ambassador Kroth of the Vralkans approaching. The large reptilian stopped beside the human section. "Ambassador." "Kim," said Kroth with a small bow of his head. "May I join you?" Taeho was surprised but didn't show it. "Of course, Ambassador Kroth." Kroth sat next to Taeho. "I wish to speak frankly with you. My initial assessment of humans was incorrect." "In what way?" asked Taeho. "I thought your lack of weapons showed weakness," admitted Kroth. "Now I see it showed confidence, true strength." Before Taeho could respond, the room lights dimmed. The High Administrator of the Council entered and walked to the central podium. She was the highest authority in the Galactic Council. The room went silent. This was unusual. The High Administrator rarely attended regular meetings. "Esteemed representatives," the High Administrator began, her voice carrying throughout the chamber. "Recent events have necessitated a review of our security protocols." Taeho sat calmly, but he felt the tension in the room. Every delegation was paying close attention. "After careful deliberation, the Council has reached a unanimous decision," the High Administrator continued. "All diplomatic security personnel are now prohibited from carrying weapons anywhere on Council territory." The chamber erupted with noise. Many delegations shouted in protest. The Vralkans were especially upset. Around the room, guards looked shocked. Ambassador Kroth stood up. "This is outrageous. How are we to protect our diplomats?" The High Administrator raised her hand for silence. The room slowly quieted. "Furthermore," she continued, "all member species are encouraged to adopt the Human Security Training Program, which will be made available through diplomatic channels." Now the room filled with whispers. Many eyes turned to look at the human delegation. "The attack last week showed us a weakness in our approach," explained the High Administrator. "When weapons were taken away at checkpoints, most guards became almost useless. But the human security team showed us a different way." Taeho felt all eyes on him and his team. He kept his expression calm. "The Council's investigation has concluded that specialized weapons can be a weakness, not a strength," said the High Administrator. "They can be taken away, they can fail, they can be turned against their owners." She looked directly at the human section. "The human approach, training the mind and body to use anything as a tool, has proven superior." The meeting continued with more details about the new rules. Some delegations were angry. Others seemed interested in the changes. Through it all, the human delegation sat quietly. When the formal part of the meeting ended, many ambassadors rushed to speak with Taeho and his team. "How soon can we begin learning your methods?" asked a small furry ambassador. "Will Earth send trainers to our homeworld?" asked another. "Can any species learn these techniques, or are they uniquely human?" asked a third. Taeho answered each question politely. "Earth is prepared to share our basic training methods with all Council members. Some techniques can be adapted for different body types. The most important part is the mindset, seeing potential tools everywhere." Across the chamber, June noticed more diplomats approaching. "Ambassador, I think you'll be busy for some time." Taeho nodded. "It seems Earth has become quite popular suddenly." The Zendi ambassador, a being with translucent tentacles, approached Taeho. "Is it true that your security personnel can neutralize threats using only items found in a standard diplomatic suite?" Taeho smiled diplomatically. "That's hardly scratching the surface of human adaptability, Ambassador, but we're happy to share our expertise." Meanwhile, in a quiet corner of the chamber, Ambassador Kroth was speaking with Security Chief Drone. "You support this new rule?" asked Kroth. "No weapons for guards?" Drone nodded. "After what I saw, yes. The human method is more effective, more elegant. But it will take years to train our guards this way," complained Kroth. "Then we should start immediately," replied Drone. "The Council has already approved a training program led by human experts." Back in the center of the room, the High Administrator approached Taeho. "Ambassador Kim," she said, The Council would like to recognize Earth's contribution to galactic security. Your team's actions saved many lives. We are honored to help, said Tejo with a bow. Earth values its place in the galactic community. There is one more thing, added the High Administrator. Our investigation discovered who was behind the attack. Tejo waited, showing no emotion. It was a coalition of weapons manufacturers, she explained. They feared Earth's approach would hurt their business. They wanted to eliminate the human delegation before your ideas could spread. And now? Asked Tejo. Now their worst fears have come true, said the High Administrator, with a small smile. The Council has already canceled several major weapons contracts. Instead, we will invest in training based on human methods. Later that day, as the human delegation returned to their quarters, they discussed what had happened. Earth's influence has grown considerably, said June. All because we chose to go unarmed. Not unarmed, corrected Min. Differently armed. Our weapons are our minds and bodies. Tejo looked at his team with pride. You've changed how the Council sees humans. They now understand that humanity's greatest strength is our adaptability. What happens next? Asked Jiho. Earth will send trainers, explained Tejo. We'll help other species learn our methods. Not all will succeed. Some bodies are very different from ours. But the mindset can be taught to anyone. That evening, a new saying began to spread among Council security personnel. Beware the unarmed human. They've already decided how to kill you with whatever's in the room. Human diplomatic guards would continue to go unarmed throughout Council space. Not as a weakness, but as a statement. Not as a limitation, but as a demonstration of their most powerful weapon, the human mind. In time, human-style security became the standard across the galaxy, though few species could truly match the instinctive resourcefulness that came so naturally to Earth's protectors. As for Ambassador Kim and his team, they continued representing humanity with composed dignity, while their security detail served as a constant reminder of a simple truth. Humans didn't need weapons to be dangerous, they simply needed to be human.